It's been a long day at work, hard day of training, and now I'm forcing Juan Adams to do an interview to talk about his bare knuckle debut, BKFC Prospect Series, January 27th, Revel Event Center. Adams versus Adams. How are we getting you to take off the gloves?
It's just no other glove match stepped up. Nobody wanted to fight me. I had said I wanted to fight in December. Nobody stepped up. I was supposed to fight again earlier this month, and nobody stepped up. So now I just love combat. I love to fight. It's something I want to do, and this is the first thing that offered me, so I accepted.
We know that there were tryouts here locally. You went to them. We've seen you at some of the shows here. Was it something that was on your radar before, or was it by opportunity that you're going down this journey?
It's much more so by opportunity. I always said I was too pretty to fight bare knuckle, but, before I got into MMA, all my fights were bare knuckle, so, why not?
Kind of the traditional path, the street fights. That's where everybody, you don't really pull out the gloves out of the car. But how much of a conversation was that then with the Rolodex with the ladies that you're putting the face on the line here?
A lot of them didn't really like it. I actually had one girl offer me to quit my job, move back to Houston, and just cook her dinner every night. But couldn't do it, man. I love to compete. I love to fight. I just love violence, and I don't get to do it to normal people. But there's a different satisfaction that comes from fighting someone else that's trained. It's a true contest of wills and skill, or as opposed to, on the street, it's just nothing.
You're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong, but probably been like 2 decades that you've been wrestling for. Is it weird to go through a camp where it's not really needed as much?
Not really, man. I love working out. I love exercising. I love testing myself. I'm really committed to improvement and growth in all areas of my life. So it was just another opportunity, another challenge for me, test of discipline more than anything. Yeah.
And what has the training been like? What is it like to indulge that much deeper into, well, actually tell us, is it indulging that much deeper into being a striker, a boxer? How are you attacking your preparation for the first bare knuckle fight?
I'm doing much more boxing training. I haven't done much wrestling. I like to do a little bit of wrestling drilling at least twice a week just for myself, by myself. I love wrestling, but the striking, it's definitely been different. It's been a lot more running, I hate running. But for boxing, you almost have to run. You have to put the road work in, otherwise it's nothing. You can get in shape hitting bags all the time, but there's something it does for recovery time and stamina. So.
MMA fight is 15 minutes long. How do you adjust to 10 minutes? Does it feel more like there's going to be a sense of urgency with those shorter rounds?
Definitely. There's definitely more of a sense of urgency. I'm doing a lot more interval training for it, really training myself not to take breaks. I do that sometimes in fighting. You kind of get into a lull. There's a rhythm, there's a flow, there's a filling out process. But with 2-minute rounds, you don't get to do that. It's all action, all gas, no breaks,
It's Adams versus Adams. How much do you look at that it's a boxer versus a mixed martial artist with Matt has had a couple professional boxing bouts under his belt?
I know. The way I see it when I step in there, man, it's a human versus a human. He's had MMA bouts. He's had boxing bouts. I've trained with world-class boxers before. I've fought world-class MMA athletes before. I've competed at a higher level in MMA than he has, and I just feel I'm a better athlete all around. I'm bigger, faster, and stronger than he is. So we'll just see how it goes. I respect every man that's willing to fight me, but I never step in there thinking I'm going to lose.
And is there almost a hunger to grab the opportunity here that is the Prospect Series to get a contract? Because I know I've talked to you before, and with wins, you were looking at the PFL, looking at returning to the UFC. So I know there's a desire to make something big happen.
Yeah, that's always a desire. In every area of my life, I strive to be the best. Going back from, when I was a young child, when I was in Boy Scouts, I had to make Eagle Scout. I got every award there was there. Once I realized that, I wasn't going to be a valedictorian in anything, and I love sports, I wanted to be a professional athlete. So every sport that I ever played, I thought of competing at the highest level, and I tried to approach every practice in that way too. And then every time it got to a point where I didn't like the practice, I didn't like the work anymore, or the dislike for the work outweighed my desire to be great, I knew that that wasn't the sport for me. And I tried everything until I found something that I loved. And with wrestling, I kind of went back to, I love fighting. I've always loved fighting. I've always been enamored with fighting as a kid. I love Dragon Ball Z, Power Rangers, those types of shows. Any movie where there were fight scenes in it, I was going to watch it. And when I started wrestling, it just awoke something else in me, and I've kind of pursued that ever since.
And I already know you, so I know there's not much ego, but has anybody asked you about it on the internet? I think it's come up. You're a USC vet. You're on the Prospect Series.
Yeah, man, I don't really pay attention to trolls. Some of you may know I'm a teacher. I teach 14-year-olds. They try to be a lot more vicious than anyone else can. And I encounter trolls in everyday life. Me being a confident person, a lot of people will mistake that confidence for cockiness or arrogance, but the difference between confidence and arrogance is competence. And, I know I'm extremely competent in things that I do, so I carry myself that way. And a lot of times people want to try to diminish that or bring it down because they don't hold that same belief in themselves. And that's a them issue. That's not my issue. So for me, I look at it as all I ever want to do is compete. I want to test myself with the best opportunity available. This just happened to be the only opportunity available at the time.
Juan Adams, how much different do you think it's going to feel like to be in a bare knuckle fight in front of people? Because I don't know if you've done it on this kind of stage. Like you said, you had the experience, but I don't know if downtown with some guy fighting you or back in high school you ever had the Revel Event Center with all eyes on you.
I mean, it doesn't really bother me. When I go in a fight, I kind of tune out of that, fighting in the UFC, competing in college, wrestling in front of thousands of people, fighting in front of thousands of people. It all just becomes noise at some point. And when you're focused on a goal, you have to drown out the noise. That's how I see it. Some people feed on that. Me, I do like to entertain. That's always fun. But at the end of the day, I signed my contract to fight. I didn't sign my contract to entertain thousands of people. If I want to entertain thousands of people, I'll start an OnlyFans.
Juan Adams, as always, man, it's been enlightening. Thank you for the time.
For sure, man.